It's official. Less than 1 day till Path of Exile 2 launches. Oh, let's get talking about this a little bit. So I'm gonna start playing the Witch Hunter. Okay, let's go find it. This tab. It's the first time I've done any kind of stream like this, so bear with me. Alright, so 6 character classes. What one to start? Let's just get this like that. So lots of good choices here, but I'm choosing to go with the Mercenary. The reason being, the Witch Hunter. Now, if we go to the Witch Hunter, let's go to... We'll go to Path of Exile here and Ascendancy classes in Early Access. We go to the Mercenary. We go to the Witch Hunter. Now let's zoom this in. I don't know my buttons, so we're just gonna do that. So, Weapon Master, don't really know what it has to do with anything, but 20 passive skill points become weapon set skill points. My speculation is that's going to be for weapon swap. I don't exactly know how that's going to work. Yeah, so that could be good. Culling Strike, Decimating Strike, that could also be very good. But what I'm more concerned about here is Witchbane and Zealous Inquisition. Now, the reason being, Witchbane, the maximum concentration thing that's going on there is basically you're going to be causing bosses to use their abilities less often. So that's going to make for good boss fights. And then Zealous Inquisition, 10% chance for enemies you kill to explode, dealing 100% of their maximum life as physical damage. Chances doubled against undead and demons. Kind of big. So if you go back to Path of Exile 1, I have a lot of time in PoE 1. Let's just take a look at it. PoE 1, we have 8,000 plus hours in that one. So I don't know exactly what I'm talking about, but I have a pretty good idea of what I'm talking about. So anyway, when it comes to explode, in Path of Exile 1 anyway, the maximum life delta as damage is nowhere near 100%. It's like 5%, 10%, right? And that's an incredibly strong thing to get for clearing that kind of stuff in Path of Exile 1. So I would imagine that this is incredibly strong in Path of Exile 2. And it's you can get it right away, essentially, off your first Ascendancy. So what's that enable us to do? That enables us to use more single target-y focused skills, maybe like maybe a clear skill, but all you really have to do is kill a couple mobs in the pack and the whole thing should explode. So I think that leaves lots of options open. I don't know what skill I'm going to use. Probably just going to go through and just use what's comfortable. And then so this Decimating Strike, also very so if we take 2 Ascendancy points there, right, we get into our Zealous Inquisition. We absolutely want Witchbane for that concentration to make the enemies do their, like, make bosses do their abilities less often. And then from there, I don't know how many Ascendancy points we get, actually. It's either going to be 4 or 6, right? So if it's only 4 Ascendancy points, it's got to be more than 4. If it's 6, then I would likely go up into No Mercy for the more damage, or alternatively go into this Weapon Master, because 20 passive skill points is kind of huge. And probably just leave the Culling Strike and the Decimating Strike alone. You could get a gem with Culling Strike anyway, so I think that'd be very, very strong. what else to talk about here? Well, let's just zoom this guy back out. And there's a tool that I do want to show. It is something that the community's been working on. It's in no way, like, it might be completely different, but this should give us a really good idea of what we're going to be looking at, and also a good idea of, like, possibilities for a build, right? So you can see here, Path of Exile 2 skill tree preview. It's not completely filled out. There's lots of blank nodes here, but it does give you a good idea of where you're going to be starting on the tree and what kind of nodes you can expect to get. Okay, so if we look at, right now we're on the Witch Hunter, but we could go to anyone, right? Gemling Legionnaire, it puts the skill points up there. But also what it does is it does show you your starting point on the tree. So the Mercenary is going to start here. You know, you go to a different one, Monk, he's going to start up here, right? You go to Warrior, down there. Sorceress is going to be up there. Same with the Witch. Witch is going to be up there as well. Ranger down there. And did we miss one? No. So it looks like we don't have a class that's starting here. And again, this could also change, but this should get you a good idea of maybe what class to pick if you're going to play right off the rip anyway, like hour 1 of the game without watching anything. This should give you a good idea. And of course, this is talking to, like, more, like, this discussion's a little more geared towards Path of Exile 1 players, like guys who already know about the skill tree, that kind of thing. If you are like a brand new player, then I would recommend maybe waiting an hour or two or a day before starting. let let the blasters figure some stuff out, and then maybe build something off of them. But we're going to take a look at the Witch Hunter and kind of what I'm planning to do, right? So right off the rip, I see this nice two-handed crossbow, which I really hope is in the game. I'm not sure. I would assume so, though. I would hope so. The reason being, I would love to do a ranged and melee combo. Ranged for, like... See, I don't exactly know how I do it. Probably ranged for clear, and then melee for, like, big hitting damage. Of course, it could go the other way around, too, right? But in my mind, I kind of have, like, shoot the ballista, and it maybe puts out a bunch of shock or a bunch of negative effects, curses on the enemy kind of thing. So shoot once and then go in with a big sword and just kind of cleave, right? So that's kind of the thought on what I want to play with the Mercenary. And the skill tree kind of reflects that too, like as a possibility for some of these notes. So I've spent like 5 minutes looking at this, but there's there's nodes like increased damage with two-handed weapons. There's also specific two-handed melee weapons, so that tells me that this would work with bows or crossbow if there's two-handed crossbow, right? So you could path to nodes like that. There's projectile damage with chain from train, that kind of stuff. You have lots of cooldown effect in the tree, I noticed. There's we have ailments. And again, like, this is very basic. I don't exactly know how I'm going to play, if I'm going to do like some sort of bleed thing, if I'm going to go like pure physical, if I'm going to go elemental damage. Not entirely sure. And I don't want to depend on this tree too much, but it does give us a good idea. If we go down here, there's some interesting nodes. Down here, we have reduced enemy chance to block sword attacks, right? So if I'm wielding a two-handed sword, we have damage with swords down there. So this could be like something maybe on the weapon swap that I could go into, right? If I don't know how it works, right, with the weapon swap tree, but you could potentially do that with everything, right? Like I could be going down here, and then for my specific sword tree, you know, go into these two for wielding two-handed melee weapons, and then for crossbow, you know, maybe it goes into this, right? And that's not picked for the sword. I really have no idea. And maybe that's where this node comes in handy, right? The 20 passive skill become weapon set skill points, where you can really like lean into the whole weapon swap tree. And then we also have here 50% increased weapon swap speed, which is pretty cool. The weapon swap being automatic as well in Path of Exile 2, so you just like activate your skill and it swaps to the appropriate weapon. Some interesting things I saw in here. We have, yeah, glancing blows is there. We have, I don't know about Oasis. I cannot use charms. I did see an interesting one here-ish. Life Leech is instant, cannot use life flasks. I thought that was interesting, because maybe you could stack some life regen, and then, yeah, then maybe you don't have to use flasks at all. That'd be cool. You know, we have damage with hits is lucky against heavy stunned enemies. Lucky is a mechanic in Path of Exile 1 anyway, where it takes your, you know, you hit something, it does a damage roll on it, and what Lucky does is it does the damage roll twice and picks the higher roll. So that could be pretty nice. You know, we got like Bloodthirsty there for amount of life leached, which kind of goes nice with Foul Pact. I need to get some music going in the background or something, because my headphones just turned off. Get these back on. Let's, where's my music at? Music. There we go. Let's just do some, what do you guys think? Some jazz? Log in. Bring this over here. Log in. 1 second. And we just go back to it, and we do that, and we just do play. There we go. All right, back to this. Right, so yeah, there's some very interesting notes in here. And again, it's like, look at this, Resolute Technique over here, which we probably wouldn't take. You could also do things on this still, like, we could search for crit, right? Maybe I want to go crit based, and it's going to highlight all these crit things. So that's dual wielding. That's also another option we could do, is dual wield, like dual wield crossbows, and then maybe have a melee, like switch to daggers or something like that. But that's kind of the idea in my head anyway, regardless. Like range skill, melee skill, and it's either going to be the range skill is clear, melee skill is single target, or vice versa, right? One thing to keep in mind too is bosses are typically a lot easier when you're ranged, just from experience. What I'm also noticing actually about the skill tree here, there are not a lot of crit nodes on this. On this one anyway, but like there's a lot of, you know, mystery nodes that need to be filled in, but not a lot of crit ones existing. Lots of defensive. Apparently we're getting flails at some point. Yeah. Yeah, just something to look at, right? I'm not going to plan anything, obviously, but just kind of looking at the big nodes, getting an idea of what we could get ourselves into. Like, We have, and again, we're right in the middle of the melee and range, so it just makes so much sense to me to go melee. Like, I know, like, maybe when you think about doing the mercenary, doing just a mercenary build in general, like, that's the showcase. They had the dual crossbows. It's like, it's the gun build, right? But yeah, of course you could lean heavily into that, but I'm thinking more melee or dual purpose anyway. Especially because we have the explode, and we have the Witchbane, and potentially the Weapon Master, right? Which, again, not entirely sure, but it sounds like it's going to be very good for weapon swapping. Alright, so what else could we talk about here? Again, very new to doing this kind of content. Let's see. For those of you who do have a key, right? An early access key. Where to go here? I don't want to give away anything, which I think I just did. But anyway, what you're gonna end up doing is getting a key, right? And I'm human. And yep. So what you can do to check if you have a key, if you've spent money on the game, is you can, I'm not going to click it, but you click Path of Exile 2 Early Access, and that is going to tell you if you have a key or not. I believe in your messages as well, but this will actually show your key. And then what you're going to do, and I only figured this out yesterday, and that's why I'm bringing it up, because a friend of mine mentioned to me. But you're going to go to your Steam, you're going to click on games, and you're going to say activate a product on Steam, and that's where you're going to put your product code. And then you're going to get Path of Exile 2 in your games library, ready to go. So I didn't know that, but now I know it. Now, talking about that, Path of Exile 2 early access Twitch drops. So with the Twitch drops, you could definitely tune in here. I'll have them enabled. But unfortunately, I'm not affiliate. So purchasing or gifting 2 Twitch subscriptions to get this guy here. And unfortunately, you won't be able to do that with me. Unless I like magically get affiliate overnight, but I don't think that's happening. So that's fine though. It'll happen eventually. So unfortunately, you won't be able to get the pet here. You'll have to go somewhere else for that. But we could definitely get the 3 hours of accumulated watch time, no problem. And the effects look pretty cool. Let's take a look. Let's go back. I was distracted. So the bolt flask effect, pretty cool. Halo Righteous helmet. See this portal? That looks pretty nice. And then yeah, there's the pet. Unfortunately, not getting the pet. Here's the thing too, though, as far as microtransactions and all that kind of stuff goes. This game looks really, really good. Like, at least from what I've seen. Maybe they've been using microtransactions in their trailers and stuff. But it looks like just the gear you pick up off the ground looks way better than the stuff in Path of Exile 1. So I would like recommend to people just like enjoy the base content of the game. Like, it's a brand new game. You don't need to be flashing it up with crazy microtransactions or anything like that, like right away. Like, enjoy the game for what it is. That's what I'm going to be doing. What else? No, that was... I was kind of inspired by The Witcher. This is a Witcher community thing in artwork. That's kind of what I was thinking, like, when I thought Witch Hunter. It's like, oh, Witcher. Oh, maybe I should be a melee, right? So that's kind of where my head's at with that stuff. What else can we talk about? Well, I guess we could talk about some of the other classes and that kind of thing. So this is going to be my starting class, obviously, but as my second character, I think I am going to go warrior. Now there is a reason I'm not starting warrior, and the reason being that I think it's going to be significantly weaker than the other ascendancies, and I think that it's going to be very dependent on gear. Mercenary, the Mercenary will be as well. However, with the built-in explode and stuff like, like the charm and then the weapon swap stuff, I think it's way stronger than the warrior. Especially now that we have the dodge roll for active evading and stuff like that. I don't know how advantageous it's going to be to build tanky, especially right off the rip. You're going to want to be able to clear content and clear it fairly quickly on a normal league start, so that you can build up and get those items and do interesting things, right? So like if we look at the warrior here, I think it was Warbringer was the wooden wall and armor break and stuff like that. This does have the explode as well, but it's 25% of their life. I can't remember if I was going to go Warbringer or Titan. Let's just max this out again. Right, this is the big slam one. This is the one I was thinking of, right? Big hammer. You get the 20 inventory slots, so that's kind of interesting. You get the effect of small passives. That could be very, very strong. Crushing blows, max life, damage against stunned. Yeah. So like effectively you would like your first hit would stun, and then your second hit will be ancestrally boosted for 20% more damage, and also another 40% more from the... So like it's very, very big slam. Unga bunga build. And yeah, these are all just very tanky nodes that are over here. There's some melee damage there. Okay, we got some Warcry skills, have AoE, empowered attacks, deal damage. We have one-handed stuff, two-handed stuff. We have down here. You can wield two-handed axes, maces, and swords in one hand. Double attribute requirements of weapons. See, I could even go to that from, from the Witch Hunter class as well. Dual wielding two-handed swords. I wonder if they still count as two-handed then. Uncapped fire res. This one's nice, Surge and Call, if you're a Warcry guy. Basically just be immortal. But yeah, it's at least my train of thought with the warrior. I think it's just going to be very RNG dependent on what kind of weapon drops for you, or what kind of weapon you can craft, as opposed to the other skills, or the other classes. Especially like the caster classes, where it's going to be gem levels that are going to be where a lot of your damage is. And then also, obviously the tree too, but, Yeah. What else can we talk about? Well, let's take a look at the rest of this here, right? So we did cover, if you do get early access, what to do with your key, right? We have our available classes, the warrior, sorceress, ranger, monk, mercenary, witch. And then the 2 ascendancy classes for each of them. Third one would come in eventually. It would have been nice if they were able to integrate the actual passive nodes into these, which they may do in the future. From my understanding, I think there's speculation that they released the ascendancy information, like the nodes, because there was a leak, so they just said screw it. I'm also trying to, like, aside from the skill tree, I'm trying not to delve too deep into this stuff. So this is what I was talking about here, the dual specialize your passive tree. So Path of Exile 2 introduces dual specialization, the ability to allocate some passive skill points to 2 different weapon sets. So it's just some, not all. They engage whenever appropriate weapon or skill is used. Making a hybrid build has never been easier. I didn't mean it. I touched the wrong thing. Okay. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this, right? Use a lightning skill, it uses that. Use your fire skill, it uses that. I guess maybe it's not a weapon swap thing then. Maybe it's just a, you know, actually it's probably a weapon swap thing. Then we have some of the gear. We know that, you know, just 1 life flask, just 1 mana flask, and then you have 3 charms, which activate automatically. And then obviously your slots, showing off a unique weapon there. Weapons can grant skills. Very cool. I mean, we could go as a caster. Let's, like, caster witch hunter, like, maybe. If anything, maybe caster genuine legionnaire. This could be something they switch to later. Spells usually scaling a lot harder off of gen levels, right? So we have like less cost of skills, 1 to level of skills, quality of skills, 2 copies of the same support gem, 3 additional skill slots, and then like that's a good one. The inherent bonuses from int, strength, and dex are doubled. And then same with the tribute requirements of gems can be satisfied by your highest attribute. Could be very good. And then, like, there is like flask, area of effect. Like, you're not going to get as much spell stuff down here, but I mean, maybe it's possible. You'd have to look at the finished tree and figure it out. Maybe you'd be able to kind of skirt around up there or something. But definitely possible. So the thing about Path of Exile is anything is possible. It's just how viable is it going to be? Like, how far can it take you? Most of the stuff in Path of Exile 1, you could do pretty much anything and get through the campaign. I heard this campaign is much more difficult, although you should be able to basically do anything and get through the campaign in this game as well, I would imagine. So going down here, we have the end game. Basically a endless delve, which I think is really cool. We don't have to worry about picking up maps and, you know, running out of maps, that kind of thing, right? You can just progress your way along. You screw up, it might shut down an entire path, right? So like, say you're like coming down through here, you're doing your maps, you're having a good time, you get to here, you fail that, then that means none of the stuff past it. Well, you fail that, it means you can't pass it. It would be an impasse, so you'd have to find another way around somewhere else. You'd have to go up here and around there. Can't move that. And then obviously we have the trials. I haven't really decided what trial I'd do. Trial of the Schemas is like how can I think of it? Sanctum. You know, the go through and don't get hit. And then Trial of Chaos seems a lot more fun, where you just kill stuff. And then we have our different league mechanics, right? So demons and undead are good for the witch hunter, at least for the explode, but other than that, it's not that much different. So breach, I think they count as demons. See, kill the demons at 4/4. Breach should be really good too. It should be able to do all of this content. If you are planning to do a specific character too, you might want to build around one of these mechanics. Maybe if you like it, you could go to all of them as well. And then, yeah, face a pinnacle threat. We don't know what it's going to be, but it should be fun. And ultimately, that's also why I'm going with the Witch Hunter, is it is a bossing build, or it is a bossing character. It's, you know, that big, where is it? Right here? Witch Hunter. This one. Nope. Decimating Strike is very strong, 5 to 30% life in one hit on the first hit. If I don't end up going into that, then No Mercy is a good alternative, which is the more damage against guys missing concentration. So, should be really good. This Ceremonial Absolution, I don't know about that one. No, we're not doing it. We're not, it's December, but we're not. No, we're skipping that. Where were we? Got thrown off by the music. Oh yeah, we were looking at what sorcery ward is, right? Because it's 50% less armor and evasion rating. So that's kind of bad. That's kind of really bad. But what it is passively manifests a protective barrier, which takes elemental damage from hits for you until depleted. The barrier instantly recharges to its full value after a short time after it stops taking damage or is fully depleted. And then we have increased effective sorcery ward, and it recovers faster. So, something like this, in my opinion, would be very good if you're going to just be going around and, like, physically dodging everything, getting out of the way, dodge rolling, that kind of stuff. Elemental damage is, like, the most damage in the game, right? So, well, at least in Path of Exile 1. Like, you know, like in Path of Exile 1, you don't necessarily have to get your physical damage, to cap for mitigation, you know, 90%, but you absolutely have to get your elemental resistances maxed, and it makes a big difference every, like, max percent above it. So sorcery ward might be good. On the other hand, if it acts like kind of like the elementalist shield in Path of Exile 1, then it might be kind of useless. So hard to say if that's going to be good or not. I likely won't go into it. I think going for just the more damage is the better choice. But that's just my opinion. So yeah, just to wrap it up in a nutshell, Mercenary, Witch Hunter, I think it's going to be really good. And yeah, we have 23 hours and 24 minutes until PoE launches. It's kind of great. It's like, that's exactly when I start my stream tomorrow. But the unfortunate part is I only get 2 hours, then I have to go do adult stuff and things. So I'm only going to have 2 hours to... Actually, yeah, I'm only going to have 2 hours to do it tomorrow. So at least on stream. But I'll be around on the weekend. And weekend streams are a little longer. They start at 8 p.m. and they go until I get tired. And yeah. That's going to be it. I can't bring myself to talk to my, you know, talk about nothing anymore. Been doing it for half an hour. And we'll see. It's been an interesting experience talking to myself for this long. I'm usually playing a game or something where I can, like, you know, just talk about the game. But that's it. So, super hyped, super excited. And I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Bye!